Hello, welcome back to the Child Life Diaries. My name is Bria. I am a child life specialist. Currently, I work in the emergency department doing evening shift in a freestanding children's hospital. So I work 3/12s, 1 p.m. to 1:30 a.m. Not bad. We can make it work. In this video, we're going to be talking about ways to be successful in your internship. I just finished mine a couple of weeks ago and went straight into working. And I think that there are some things that really helped me get the most out of my internship placement. It really helped me learn as much as I could with what I was given. So let's just hop right into it. So the first thing I think that really helps make sure that you get everything you can out of your internship actually starts before you even get there. So knowing what your learning style is very important, and it is something that can help you and your supervisor be on the same page throughout your internship, and it is a way for you to be able to reach your goals without feeling uncomfortable or feeling like you're falling behind or anything like that, because if you are not aligned with your supervisor or your preceptor with how you learn best, then there can be some clashing or just some uncomfortable feelings surrounding how you're getting feedback and things like that. So you want to think about, how do you best take feedback? Are you somebody who likes the sandwich method with having a positive, a negative, and then a positive? Are you somebody who just likes it being given to you straight? Do you like a little tough love? Do you like somebody to be gentle with you? Just thinking about how you best take feedback to where you're not going to feel like taking everything personally and really internalizing that and feeling negative about your experiences is a way to help immediately get you ahead. Another thing to know is, when do you do your best work? Typically during internships, you're going to have assignments that you're doing, and for me, my best work is done in the morning. As soon as I get there, being able to sit down at the desk and use all of the brain power that I have from recently waking up and getting it done. Other people, maybe they like doing work later in the day, and that's when their brain fog kind of disappears. Some people like to do work at home, some people don't. I refuse to do any of my homework at home. I like to leave work at work. I like to leave school at school. So I fortunately was able to have an hour at least of desk time a day where I could do my work at the hospital instead of bringing it home with me. And then I also knew, like, if I needed extra time, I would just go in a little early and have extra time in the morning before I even started my shift to get some things done, because I knew that at home I do not do my best work, but in the hospital my brain kind of switches into work mode and I am able to better complete things. So think about that for you. Where do you do best work? What time? How? And that'll be a way to help make sure you stay on track with your assignments while also handling all of the work that you're doing in the hospital. So the next is, how do you like to process events? Do you like to debrief immediately? Do you like to take time by yourself and just think about it individually and then circle back with your preceptor and talk about it? Do you like to write it in a journal and communicate that way and get all of your feelings down that way? And then maybe your preceptor can review the journal and write notes for you. But holding it in is not the best way. I know I like to hold in my emotions and hold in my feelings sometimes, and that's not the best way to process an event. And your preceptor is there really to help you process these events, especially because they have been in the hospital doing interventions, dealing with children who are going through very hard health challenges for at least like 5 years, I think. I don't remember. It might be 3 to 5 years before you were able to be a preceptor for an internship student, but they've been doing it for years and you are new to it. So thinking about how you best process these events, like for me, I had to tell my preceptor, like, after a little while that I needed to process more directly after something happened. And I didn't even have a lot of like high stress situations, but just doing an intervention and then talking immediately after about like what I think went well, what I thought would change next time, and asking the opinion of my preceptor. And I knew that for me, I needed to debrief right after and have more of a like purposeful debrief rather than right after just being like, hey, you did great, and being like, thanks. So that is something to think about. Also thinking about what pace works best for you. Are you somebody who likes to jump right in and get straight into work? Are you somebody who needs a couple of weeks of shadowing and not really a couple of weeks of shadowing and not taking the lead before you start working together, and then getting more independence probably in your second rotation? Like for me, I knew that I like to jump in right away. I like to watch something one time, and then after that, I'm like, I got it. I can take the lead next time. And my preceptor did not like that. And it was like a point of strain for us because she felt like I needed to watch more before starting to take the lead more while I felt comfortable taking the lead, especially like considering my background of like my education has been very child life focused for the last couple of years, being at Erickson and then also doing hospital volunteering. I was comfortable being in the hospital environment already. So I felt ready, but my preceptor was like, that's not gonna be good for you or for the children. So we did not see eye to eye on that until like the last 2 weeks. It was really funny though, because we had that conversation and I was like, hey, I feel like I can be doing more. And she was like, no, you can't. And then literally the next week she was like, all right, go do things on your own. So I think, we got there. But if you're not that type of person and then you have a preceptor who's like, go ahead and do it, it's good to know that you are not that type of person and to let your preceptor know, like, hey, I don't learn best that way. I need some more time to watch and to observe and to learn from you and what your style is. And I will say, in my second rotation, because I was working with behavioral health patients and there was a little bit of a different prep happening when sending patients to a acute inpatient facility program, which is basically just like going into an inpatient facility where they're having like all day help. And I had never, number one, really like thought about that before. I had never like researched what those type of facilities are, and there's a lot of information that you have to share. So for that, I let my preceptor know. I was like, hey, I need to watch you do this like 5 more times before I do it myself. And then I was like, hey, why don't we do it together and like you come in the room with me? Because I knew that for that, I would work best that way, even though for everything else I was like, yeah, I've seen this once, I can do it myself, So just like knowing where you are with your pace of work is really important to help you be able to get everything you can out of each and every interaction. So the next part is reflective supervision, and I really hope that every single program does this, but my program did it really well where every single week I had a one-to-one with the program director, or not like the program director, but like the supervisor of all interns, not like my direct supervisor, but like the supervisor ahead. I had one-to-one with them every single week, and then we also had intern supervision together where all 3 of us would go and meet with her and talk about things. So 2 times a week at least I had time for reflective supervision where like anything that was bothering me or anything I felt like I couldn't process, even if it wasn't specifically about things that was happening in the hospital. Like I had a lot of feelings about moving away from home and not wanting to be here, and I still have those feelings, but I was able to like process all of those things every week, and I felt like, my feelings outside of the hospital can impact my work inside of the hospital, and then also like dealing with anything that happened in the hospital where maybe I was feeling uncomfortable, or maybe, I was having issues with my preceptor where we weren't seeing eye to eye. And having that reflective supervision helped me a lot. Now, at this point in like the second rotation, I didn't feel like I needed as much reflective supervision, and we were able to kind of shorten those sessions because I knew that I didn't have anything to say. My preceptor knew, and my supervisor knew that they didn't have anything to say. So like being able to not waste each other's time is also important. But in the beginning, like letting your preceptor know, hey, I feel like once a week we should sit down one-to-one, have like a 30-minute meeting and just talk through everything that is going well, everything that maybe could be better, anything that's bothering you inside or outside of the hospital. Just knowing what works best for you with that type of supervisor-supervisee relationship is really, really important, because you don't want things to just pile and pile and pile and pile to where maybe you're in the middle of your first rotation and you just plummet down to 0 and you are like unable to do your best work and unable to absorb all of the information being shared, because it is a lot and there's a lot very quickly. So just know reflective supervision can never go bad. It can never be a bad thing. So I would just say start with it. Start with it a lot, and if you need to tone it down a little bit because you think, oh, maybe this isn't as much as I need, that's also cool. Things can change throughout the internship. as long as you are in a program where they're really individualizing your program. Because, you know, sometimes they do a one-size-fits-all approach, and I don't think that's the best approach because everybody learns differently. Everybody is an individual, as we know and learn for the past however many years as child development people. But at least trying to like convey what is best for you can help more individualize the approach, especially if you're in a program where it's just you. Like I had 2 other interns with me and we were still able to very much individualize the approach for each of us. But if you're in a program when it's just you, it might be even easier to just do what is best for you because you don't have other interns to worry about. And then before starting your internship, also create goals for yourself. So are these goals that you want to have weekly? Are they goals that, you know, maybe you have smaller goals that you want to reach daily, which can literally be like every day talk to a nurse, or every day check in on a patient on your own, or something like that. Like something small can be every day, or you can have larger goals for weekly goals, or maybe just an overarching goal for each rotation, an overarching goal for the entire internship. But having goals, I think, is important for making sure that you are being very intentional with your time in the internship, and making sure that you, and sharing those goals with your preceptor, making sure that you guys know what it is that you want to accomplish. Because for me, I had done a lot of play sessions already, so that's not something that I was really prioritizing while I was here. I was like, my goal is to see as many procedures as I can and to be there to help prep or support for as many as I can. And because I shared that with my preceptor, she talked to other CCLSs in the hospital and was like, hey, I have an intern and she wants to see a lot of things. So if you have something and you deem it appropriate, let me know so she can go. And I was able to go to just different units. Like I went to the PICU for a bereavement because I didn't get to see any bereavements while I was in oncology. And also I didn't get any in the EDECU, which would be honestly not likely to happen in the EDECU. But because I didn't get to see that, and my preceptor knew it was something that I had a goal to see because I hadn't really had experience with that, she made sure to talk to other people in the hospital, other units, and get me in that door. So having the goals for yourself and sharing those with your preceptor is great, because then they can help you really reach those goals. Because if I had that goal for myself and I didn't tell my preceptor about it, I would not have seen a bereavement yet. And I am working now. I'm not in my internship anymore. So very important to make the goals for yourself, but also to share them. That way you can be very intentional, you can be very successful, and you can just learn what you need to learn and get everything that you need out of the internship. So now let's talk about while you're in the internship. I had one thing that I really used the entire time I was there, and that is a notebook. A notebook and then my favorite pen, which actually got stolen, so then I had to use my second favorite pen. But for me, having a notebook that I was small enough that I can bring with me everywhere, it was this big, and it was a flip over notebook, not like an open notebook, but I just got it because it was cute. But having a small notebook that you can bring everywhere with you was just really important for me, because at the beginning of the week, I wrote down an entire checklist every week of the assignments that I needed to do. Did I do my readings? Any questions that I wanted to ask? That way I didn't forget them when it came time to have my reflective supervision. Also just other things that I need to take care of. So if it was just oh, I need to do a workday training, which has nothing to do with the internship per se, but because I was an employee, I had employee trainings that I had to do. Or just saying hey, I want to make a child life video this week, so putting that on my checklist. Things like that, just so that throughout the week I can look through, see what it is I need to do, check it off, and make sure that I'm not forgetting anything. Because when you're in a very quick, kind of high stress internship, working as a child life specialist, as a child life intern, it's very easy to forget things. So having the notebook with you all the time is really good for that. Also, I use my notebook every day for my census. So for any patients that I was responsible checking in on, I would write their first name, do a little box next to it, I would write their age, and I would write a little blurb about why they were in the hospital, or what it is that I wanted to do with them, just so that I could have that with me all day and I could remember what it is that I want to do, check it off if I've done it. I would do a square box for I want to see this patient. After I saw the patient and wrote the note, I would do a little circle around the box, just saying I wrote the note, and I would pin it because I didn't really submit my notes until the end of the day. But just saying hey, yeah, I started this note, circle, circle. And then once I completely finished the note, got it co-signed, submitted it, then I would check it off. And it was very helpful helpful to me just remembering what it is I had already done, what it is I needed to do, and then if I had successfully completed everything that I needed with that patient. And in the oncology unit, it was a little different because it was inpatient, so I was really seeing like, oh, my camera's gonna die. In the ecology unit, I was really seeing the same patients every day, and then, you know, sometimes they would leave, they would come back, but it was like basically the same patients every day, and even if it was a couple weeks later, maybe a patient that I already knew came back. In the ADECU, it was different because of the patients that I saw mostly got there that day. So I would put their name down, I would put why they're there, and then once I went into the room and came out, I would write down what I did. That way, like, if I didn't do the chart right at that moment, I didn't forget what it was that I did. And it was just really nice having that notebook with me and just being able to kind of put everything that I needed to remember down and not be able to forget. But it was something also to remember is that, like, because I was putting down their name and their age, I could not bring that paper home. I had to rip it out at the end of every day and put it into the shredder. And that's just something to remember. Like, you can't take that information home. So, like, be very cognizant of what you were putting in your notebook. I didn't put anything that I couldn't bring home unless I knew I was going to rip out that paper. Wow, I'm like stumbling over my words right now. But yeah, that's important. So I would say definitely needed a notebook, definitely had my favorite types of pens that I just made me happy. Badge items is also important. So I had a like I Spy card on my badge, I had a flashlight on my badge, I had an IV tubey on my badge, and then I had a little axolotl charm on my badge as well. But all of those things are just nice to have. Number one, because it's cute. It helps make you look non-threatening when you're entering a room. And also, it's great if you are called into a room very quickly and you have nothing with you. So I had been called into a room and I had nothing with me, and then the patient was like, oh my god, a flashlight. And I'm like, yeah, look at this, you know? Or I get called into a room really quickly and it's like, hey, we're about to do an IV, and I already have the IV tubey with me to be like, okay, well, let's do some prep. This is what it looks like, you know? So that I thought was just very important and very nice to have with you for situations where it's like we're doing something right now and you cannot run and get anything else. And the I Spy badge, or the I Spy paper too, is nice for distraction. If you're just like, well, I see something blue, what can you find that's blue? And just having that on your person all the time. I also, from time to time, would just have a light stick in my pocket because I had a lot of infants and toddlers when I was in the ADECU, and you know, light stick is the go-to for distraction when it comes to me. So being able to have that with me all the time and just like pop into a room and it's like, oh, I don't only have a flashlight, which still helps, but I have this cool light stick with me. And I would do that if I knew it was the day where I like, you know, I'm probably gonna get called in for an IV based on what I did see chart diving in the morning. And then another thing to do once you get there, if there are prep books that they have, which I hope they do, look at those. Once you get there, look at those prep books, study them, learn them immediately, because yes, you can use them in the moment, but if you're on a unit where like a lot of the same things are happening if you're on a unit where a lot of the same things are happening very often, it's nice for you to immediately familiarize yourself with those things. So if you've never seen a lumbar puncture before, read the prep book for a lumbar puncture and learn about it yourself. Or if you don't know what a bone marrow transplant is, or if you have never seen an MRI or a CT, and those are things that are happening very often on your unit, look at the prep books like as soon as you can and just learn it for yourself. That way, if you're thrown into a situation where you're going to prep for it, you don't have to stumble with finding the prep book and reteaching yourself about it. Or, you know, if you don't have an iPad in the moment and you're like, well, I can't show you anything, like at least being able to recall what it is yourself, recall the steps, be able to like maybe visualize and like tell them what it looks like depending on the age that you're prepping. It's just very helpful, because I did that with the prep for transition to the inpatient facility for behavioral health patients. I looked at that prep book a lot and I read through it a lot because I was like, this is a lot of information and I need to like make sure I remember it, because doing that prep was something that was happening all the time on the ADECU. So I was like, I need to know what this is, and it was just very helpful with learning that. And then also there were other prep books like this is not something even that I really came up with myself. My preceptor of my first rotation in oncology, when I got there, she was like, get all of these prep books and read them. And it was helpful because it was a lot of stuff that was happening all the time on the unit. So I will take that from her, and I will say that to you. If you can, read through all the prep books for the most common procedures. Because, you know, you're gonna get thrown into something that you don't know all the time throughout your career, but it's still helpful to at least have like some like common things in your brain that will be helpful. And then also I think that like learning the prep for a lot of things helps you creating a prep for something that you don't know. It helps you just like be able to understand how a prep works better in order to transfer those skills into an unfamiliar procedure, you know? Does that make sense? Hope it does. I don't want this to be a super long video, so I'm going to just give my last tip here, which is kind of a duo tip. I think that being yourself is very important. You don't want to have to try to fit into the mold of what you think a child life specialist should be, because every child life specialist practice is different. Some really enjoy the therapeutic play aspect. Some really enjoy the procedural prep aspect. Some only want to be facility dog handlers, and like that's it. I know somebody at my hospital right now who we just had a conversation where she was like, I would never go back to being a regular child life specialist because she has had the dog for years and it works for her and she loves that. And then there's me, where I love procedural things. I love being on the more medical side of things and prepping for procedures, supporting through procedures, just because like that is something that I love. And I love play too. I love doing a therapeutic play activity, but procedures is where I like really want to be. And then there are specialists who only want to play, who will do procedural prep and will do procedural support because that is, you know, part of the job. But really they love the therapeutic play aspect, and they love building their therapeutic relationships and creating therapeutic goals and finding a way to incorporate play into reaching those goals. And all of those ways of practicing are valid. So, and another thing too is that you can be more subdued. You don't have to be all the time every time you see a kid. Like, you do not need to be yelling, you do not need to be jumping, you do not need to be hyper. And that was something that was like conflicting with me and my first preceptor, is that she was so hyper and so blah 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 when she was talking to the kids, and I'm not like that. Like, I am still very, you know, kind and engaging, but I am not the super loud, super jumping, super oh my god that's so silly type of person. And it made the perception of like me liking to do things, my preceptor, because I didn't know that was something I needed to share with her right away. So when she gave me my like midterm evaluation, she was like, you don't seem happy to do things. And I was like, I swear to God, I'm happy to do things. This is just my personality. Like, I'm not gonna like jump up and down every time you ask me to do something. She was like, because whenever I ask you if you want to do something, you'd be like, okay. And I'm like, well, yeah, okay, like, yes, I want to do it. I'm not gonna be like, oh yes, please, I want to do it every time I'm asked. So, and that's okay. Like, once I told her that, she was just like, oh, okay, it's your personality, like, that's fine. So maybe that's something that you need to talk about when you get there and say like, hey, this is my personality, this is the type of person that I am, this is how I react in these types of situations. And just knowing that it is okay to have a different personality than your preceptor. Because then I did a shadow with a different person on a different unit, and she was way more subdued than I am. And I thought that I was subdued. So when I saw her practicing, I was like, oh my God, does she even like her job? It was crazy. But that's just different ways of practicing and different personalities, and all of them are valid and all of them are helpful and useful, because sometimes you're going to go into a room where a kid doesn't want to bouncing off the walls, because children also have different temperaments and have different personalities, and not every single one is going to want you jumping in, being Miss Rachel, laughing and hee-hee-hawing and doing all of that, you know? So especially if you're working with teenagers too, like, you need to tone it down, because sometimes they're gonna think that you're crazy. And I'm not one who wants to work with adolescents, but I learned walking in there that like my personality worked very well with adolescents, but my personality also works very well with children. Like, we click. So yeah, just knowing who you are and being yourself is the best way to get through your internship, because if you're trying to fit into somebody else, that's just another layer of stress of trying to be somebody that you're not, while also trying to learn all of these things and develop your practice. And if you develop your practice in a way that doesn't support who you are, then that's just not gonna align later on in life. Once you're working for real, then you're gonna be working as somebody who is not you. Does that make sense? I don't know, it's hard to explain, but yeah, I think that being yourself is very important. The last thing I'm going to say, because I completely forgot what I was going to say before, but just enjoy yourself, have fun. Try not to take everything personally, because really your preceptors are there to help you, and they're giving you tips that are really in the way that they practice, but it's going to help you in the long run. Like, you don't have to do exactly everything that your preceptor says, because really everybody practices differently and everybody charts differently, and there are certain rules that the hospitals have that, like, obviously you need to follow. Like, if they say, hey, don't say pain medicine, say pre-meds instead, or something like that, then you're gonna follow that. But, you know, take everything that your preceptor says, take it, listen to it, consider it, and develop your practice and have fun with it, because internship goes by very, very quickly. And I know every single person says that, but until you do it, you don't realize how, like, actually quickly it goes. Like, I feel like I've been here for like 2 weeks, and my internship obviously was 16 weeks, so it goes by incredibly quick, and really you just need to soak in every single day and do what you can with it, because once it's over, you're no longer an intern. And when you're an intern, that is the best time for you to learn and to make mistakes, because everybody is there to support you, and everybody knows that you're an intern and knows that, you know, like, you don't know exactly what you're doing. So take those leaps and, like, really put yourself out there doing your internship. That way you can make those small mistakes and learn from them. Obviously, don't, like, go in with needle play and, like, stab the kid. That is not a mistake you want to be making, okay? Needles do not go into people's bodies. Do it on a doll. But it's okay if you go in there and, like, you accidentally say needle instead of poke and, like, make a kid scared. Like, you're gonna learn from that situation, and it will be okay in the long run, and this is the time to make those mistakes. And I didn't like that advice, because I don't want to make mistakes ever, but it is true. It is the time to learn, and it is the only time that you're going to have so much support and so much opportunity to learn and to shadow and to see different types of practices and stuff like that. So just enjoy yourself. You will be okay. If you have any more questions, or if I think of any other tips, I will put them in the comments or put it in the bio of this video, or whatever description, that's what it's called. But yeah, thank you for watching. I will make more child life videos in the future, even though I am no longer doing my internship. I'll probably just do stuff like day in the life of a child life specialist, or like talking about specific interventions or something like that. I don't know, I'll figure it out. But thanks for watching. Hope your internship goes great. Good luck to you. You'll do great. You'll do awesome. Enjoy it.